and welcome to Unconfusing for Tiles, where we attempt to make sense of this silly game that we call Mahjong. Here we have a game from the April the 30th Tiles of Confusion stream every Friday about 7 o'clock GMT, or whatever time we happen to be on. And in order to assist me with this, I have brought along probably the best regular player, if not the best overall player, on this Tiles of Confusion stream, Chiral, who...
Hello.
Yes, is definitely more intellectually bound with how to play this game than I am, because I'm definitely still off-the-cuff, instinctual, and making assessments which are sometimes, if not always, questionable.
Honestly, I feel like I do that these days as well.
Fair.
But hopefully there's something in the back of my mind that's actually...
You attempt to study, though. You attempt to improve, and I haven't gotten to that level yet.
Made. Yes.
I haven't gotten to that point. I'm happy staying exactly where I am, and that's why my Mahjong has not improved over the last 2 or 3 years.
I think the important thing is as long as you're having fun doing it. That's the important
which I am. But in fairness, regular analysis is a way you can try and improve, and hence why I've done literally 2 attempts at this previously. Oh dear. So, the 4 players are roughly even in ability overall. Solar is, or was, the 3rd ranked player last year overall, with a win ratio of 12 out of 46 games. So about a quarter, which is what you would expect anyway, in the most cases, in a 4-player game. But he definitely finished 3rd. He is generally a fairly solid player. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes that I notice generally, but again, this is mostly me looking after the facts during what is ultimately a casual format. We have Prospero, who is the most prolific player on Tiles of Confusions, with the only exception being me, because I stream it. I have to be in every game. Or almost every game, anyway. He has a current win ratio...
every game.
Well, yeah. I'm there or I'm playing or watching, and I do tend to play more often than not. His current record going into this, 2020... all the Freebleeds players, by the way, joined in 2020 and are still here now. But he has 23 wins out of 91 from 2020, and is 5 out of 35 for this year. But, well... yeah, he's on his day, he's very, very good. I think he just has a tendency to either overplay or make some questionable decisions under pressure. Because one thing I've noticed when...
It's not everything in Mahjong, as long as you... like, I don't know what Prospero's 4th place rate is, but if it's like a few wins and then mostly seconds, it's still incredibly good, right?
Yeah, I don't know that offhand because I only had a percentage for wins. I should really have that tracker going through things. What I would say is that when I've been observing Prospero in sort of the watching him behind, he does tend to run low on time. So I think a lot of his mistakes are due to time management rather than necessarily ability, because he is very good at... he's very efficient with how he builds hands usually.
Okay.
I mean, that might not be true. It's just a takeaway I have from occasionally watching him. And then we have Piffles, who is the newest of these 4 players in terms of when he joined Tiles of Confusion. Has a 5 out of 17 win ratio for 2020, 3 out of 9 for 2021, and is generally solid. I mean...
that's really good, yeah.
It's generally solid. I mean, there's not as many games as the others, so it's a bit harder to definitely draw upon that. But even when he's been playing naturally, there are mistakes, but he's not a bad player by any stretch of the imagination. And then we have myself, and we're going to bypass myself entirely at this point.
Yeah, no game is perfect. You're going to make mistakes every single game.
Absolutely.
That's just a fact of life.
All right. Yeah. So, we're going to begin with East 1. So, just a quick going over the hand here. I'm not going to reveal results or anything because we're going to use the game state as it is as part of a reference point, because there are certain decisions that you make in a game of Mahjong that are questionable but make sense due to the point difference, for example. If you are miles behind, you will take more risks than anything else and is relevant to how they tend to play. So this first hand, looking at Piffles, I was focusing all my notes on Piffles. Chiral is sort of doing a generalized over the table. The reason for that being, Piffles did request this thing, so that's how it's going to go.
Yeah,
also, Chiral?
I haven't actually looked at Prospero's game at all, but immediately, look at your hand right now. Your hand is amazing.
It is not a bad hand, I'm going to give you that. But anyway, Piffles' hand is 3 Shantan. However, it's not a very good hand in terms of value. The best you can do with this really is either... you got so many 1s and 9s, you can't really go for anything other than just a Yakuhai reach. Those are your 2 options. And
there's a decent chance of being able to draw a 5-pin and using it with this.
This is true. Itsu is a possibility, I suppose. But again, that's...
saying Itsu. I was just saying the Dora 5-pin.
Oh, if he draws the Dora 5, I would take that as a possible Itsu chance, and you'd know it. But in general...
I think I've actually got some notes here about the Itsus.
Yeah, so it's 3 Shanten for Yakuhai or Reach only. However, he is 5 away from both Chanta and Honitsu I put down there, but getting rid of a 3-4-5 is a really awkward thing. You don't want to be doing that early on. That shouldn't.
Ask. Yeah.
It's a big ask, but technically he is 5 away from 2 possible improvements to the hand. But again, not something you would generally go for in the grand scheme of things, especially not at the start of the game, where you're just trying to get the dealership, because when you're dealer, you earn more points. So a quick hand to become dealer is absolutely fine.
Like, looking at it now, and I haven't studied Piffle's hand, I think it's probably just, I would go for probably a really quick hand. Maybe if the stars align, I might bin 3-4-5 man to go for a Honitsu, but I don't.
I just put it down in the notes. I don't think that's a good idea, and I don't think anybody really considers that. But again, if he absolutely needs a hand with value out of this, it's an option. But it's not a good option.
Line,
of course.
I just don't see that happening with this hand. But yes.
So, what are your notes from the high buys? Starting hands.
Well, I literally the main note I have at the start of this hand is just your hand is amazing right now. In fact, I even wrote down yes with an exclamation mark.
So, main reason for that is I've got a very connected set of middle dot tiles. I have a very easy route to Honitsu. I'd like to have a Yakuhai pair if I'm going for a definite Honitsu hand, because I like to have that as a backup plan in case it doesn't start
with
overline.
Adora, you should just be pushing Honitsu from this.
And maybe I should be.
As we'll see, I think you should just be pushing Honitsu from the get-go. But yeah.
Another fairly solid hand.
I have a few questions out this hand, but we'll see.
That's fine. Basically, the way I've noted my things here is I've got the relevant decisions. So for Piffles, I've got T5. So turn 5 is my first major decision from Piffles in terms of what he does that is either good, bad, or other. But I'll just quickly go over the other hands here. Solar has 2 Dora, and it's overall not a bad hand. It's a little awkward to call with, I suppose, because he needs that definite 7. But if he draws that 7 so early, that hand is off to the races and gone.
There's also a very, very real and likely chance of just being able to get rid of 8-9, so just take
of course.
Like Tanyao maybe, or just any sort of reammon around that 5 so instead.
Yeah. Prospero unfortunately has the worst hand of the starting lot, but that will occasionally happen. This is early days, and all Prospero would really be hoping for at this point is a quick hand to become dealer, which he might still get if he can pair up either of the dragons or South because of his Yakuhai.
People who know me know that I tend to meme quite a lot, and looking at Prospero's hand, I think I would actually attempt Chitoi here.
It's not a bad consideration. It's not going to line up from what we can see, but obviously from his own information, he's got a lot of edge tiles. He's got Dora, which obviously is the critical point whether he pairs that up or not, or ends up waiting on it. But it's not a bad hand from that perspective.
Just literally nothing else is connected. Everything is disconnected. Everything is bad in Prospero's hands.
In fact, he would have depending on what he draws initially, he'd have the 13 different tiles abortion available, which I'm fairly certain is a thing.
We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's no way. You need to
oh no! I mean the abortion. There's a weird rule I found in one of the Mahjong apps I used to play on, where basically if you had 13 unconnected tiles, you could force a draw.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah, absolutely 13 unconnected tiles, and then which is technically allowed with 1 pair, but it was a weird thing, and only you can play it against AI. It was. I forget who it is. It's Nagomi or something like that. Either way, we should probably start the actual hand. Otherwise, we're never going to get done with this.
Fair.
So I'm just going to start and close slow roll again. We'll just pause when anything that becomes relevant here. So in most cases,
draw for you right now.
That was a very good draw. So drawing the West, which basically gives me the pair sorted out. It sorts out more towards Honitsu. Pairing these up is exactly what I want for a sort of Honitsu attempt. It gives me things I can just call. West is going to get played by anybody who isn't Piffles. It's exactly what I'm after at this point. And most of the other people doing their usual sort of Tanpin discards. Prospero getting rid of those terminal tiles immediately here. He still doesn't have a lot connected. But
question.
Yeah, go.
Why didn't you call Solus West?
Why didn't I call Solus West? Hold on, let's go back a moment.
Call Solus West?
Yeah, I could have done. Why didn't I call Solus West?
You're like 2 or 3 away from a Honitsu.
Yeah, this is what I want.
Solus West.
This is what I want. I don't know. Maybe I wasn't fully committed to this at the time, or maybe I was just holding safe tiles. I mean,
Honestly,
to be fair,
3-hand minimum, and you're so close. You might even get a chance to like get an east or the north.
I think the only argument for me not calling it in this position is that I'm fairly confident I'll get the second one.
I mean, it's true. Piffles might play the west.
I mean, ignoring the Piffles has it. I mean, I see one. I assume the second one's coming because it's not a Dora. It's not the round wind or seat wind. I assume I can get the second one later, improve my hand, potentially be reaching on that tile as well, which is quite a strong pair weight if it turns up to that.
I suppose that's true. But
again, I should have called. I'm not arguing. I should have called that west, but that's my counter argument.
Okay, can you pause again?
Yep, sure.
And this is incredibly nitpicky.
Sure.
But
2-so versus 6-so.
If you're forcing Honitsu,
I should be playing the 6-so.
You should be playing the 3-man. The less information you give to players about which suit you need, the better.
Yeah.
So
we'll see on that.
Until you've made your first call, and then you can start playing Sozu. That's what I would do.
Yeah, it's also more critical. If 3 or 6 makes more sense because you want to discard the tiles that are most likely going to be called. Because in early games, you don't want to be calling sequences most of the time, unless you already have Yakuhai or something. But anyway, we'll continue on. Prospero has now drawn his pair of dragons, so he's at least getting somewhere with that. And I didn't call the second West either. What am I looking at? Am I looking at something else here? I don't think I am, because there's nothing really I can go to that isn't Honitsu.
I wonder if you're just hesitating because it's not your wind. It's not your Yakuhai.
No, because I've only got one. Well, at that point, I'd only have one discard, and that's the 6, and then I've got the Yaku sorted out. Maybe I'm just being cautious in the game. I don't know. I should be cautious.
I feel like this caution is gonna backfire, but we'll see.
We'll see. So
I'm glad you did call that. That was correct.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the first decision I make, which is Prospero calling for. Oh no, this is the one.
Sorry.
Oh no, sorry. Sorry, no. I've got turn 5 call for Tenpai, but that's not what happened there. That's later. I don't know why I put turn 5 there.
Side question: why did you call the north? Why did you play the north?
Why did I play the north? Goodness knows on that one. The one's already out. Not really doing anything for me, and I now have 6-7, so I guess I'm now looking towards Tanya or Pinfu as a thing. Yeah. Although admittedly we're triplet at 6. I don't know why I'm necessarily doing that, but it's still...
It feels so sad to see this amazing Honitsu just slowly wither, and I'm sad.
Yeah, that's fair. Alright, so let's continue on. I decided to risk East at this point, and this is the call for Tenpai. Absolutely nothing wrong with this decision. Yeah, call for Tenpai. Plus.
If it was playing correctly, yeah, absolutely.
Again, it's only one hand, but in early game, you want to become the dealer. The dealer earns more points, so getting there as fast as possible is good. His counter concern now is Prospero has 2 calls against him. 5 is a safe tile, so that's fair enough. No decisions really to be made there.
What the saddest thing is?
Go.
You've played the 6-7 so anyway.
Yeah, I have.
You've played it later, where it's more dangerous.
I do have double Yakuhai now, but again, that one of those is never going to be finished.
So here's an important point, right? At this point, Sola's Ishan 10, but Atazuke, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like in this particular case, calling without a Yaku setup, without a guaranteed Yaku, is actually a really bad misplay. Now, I know the 8-pin deal's in, but I would immediately, if I was going to call this, go for Open Tanya with Dora 3.
You want to go for the definite Yaku here.
I would have dealt it at this moment here, because that 7-8 is really bad, and being able to pawn the 2 would be really good. So I would have cut 8-pin straight away. Keep 5-5-7, and I would have dealt it. But I feel like that was the right move at this moment.
Yeah,
try and push.
I agree with that. Still,
when you put 3, you have to go.
2-5's not really a decision there. You play the one that's least likely to be called, which is the 2-man. East one's has already been called, so that's fine. Nothing really to speak of. Prospero has made 2 calls, but isn't Tenpai, which is not usually optimal, but it's enough of a bluff that it forces people to worry about things.
I can see why Prospero's doing the things they are. They've got a Dora, they really want to use it. There's a good chance they draw full 6, as far as Prospero knows, right?
Yeah, of course.
So, I like what Prospero's doing.
Yep, this is a reasonably nice shape, 6-6-6-7, but again, you're still reliant on that. You can still screw yourself up by discarding a 9 in a moment, or just drawing a 9.
Could have bought a Tenpai. If the 8 passed, which granted isn't guaranteed.
Yeah.
But at this point, Soda's cutting 7-8 anyway, but just later, where it's less safe.
He's cutting the more dangerous tile first, or at least what is objectively the most dangerous tile first, which is correct. But it's...
I agree with him in this case, yeah.
Rather than hoping for the potential draw of a 6, which... I think if he draws a 6, he has to cut a Dora, though, doesn't he? No, or Dora 8. And yeah, okay, ignore that. He'd play the 8 in that position. And there's the eventual dealing. So Piffles wins 1,000 points. Mostly playing safe tiles to Prospero while this was going on, was my only other note about that. But again, he didn't have too many decisions to make once he got to Tempai. So a nice normalish start. And yeah, I completely balls that up.
You ended up folding, I think, around about turn 12. And I think part of the problem was you would have drawn a pair of Easts. You'd have had a triplet of the Wests. You would be Tempai. I still think you wouldn't have won because unless Piffles played.
I also wouldn't have drawn the pair of Easts because I'd have called, so I'd have changed the draw order.
So if you kept the East green as your weight, played 7-8, you would. I don't know. You would have had a better chance of winning, I think. But it's all good. It's all good.
Okay, I'm just gonna quickly split the video off here 2 moments while I. Okay, so East 2. Piffles again has a free shunt in hand for Yakuhai Dora 1. Unfortunately, that's pretty much all he can do here unless he wants to cut the pair of Souths, and given that it's his wind, it's probably not a good idea to do so. He has an outside chance of Honitsu, but again, I like the... Well, they're slightly disconnected. The 6-8 is the only real connection he's got in that regard, but it's a bit ambitious to go for it, I think.
Yeah, I don't have too many notes in terms of your hands. I think they're both Solars and Shadows are they're very strong at this point. We'll see. We'll see about things that happen very soon.
We'll see. Prospero's hands also 2 Dora and a bit nicer than his last one at least. It's not a bad dealer turn. He does have the decision to make over his Dora Dragon, but that's.
I have questions about that. Yes, that was. We're gonna see about the Dora Dragons, but yes.
All right. Well, let's start this off with a decision on turn 1, discard 1, which I agree with. You're free Shanten. You have a Yakuhai call. There's no point in waiting for a second one. Let's go.
Absolutely.
So nothing.
So Soda's already drawn a Dora right now, right? And let's just look at Soda's hand for a second.
Yep.
Because Soda's hand is probably never going to use that Dora, right? We've got way too many pairs. Unless we're committed to
7 pairs is the only condition where he would use that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we should cut that Dora as quickly as possible. Just get it out there.
Sure.
Unless we're going for Chitoi, in which case then we can live and die by that Dora Dragon. But
well,
I don't.
Well, see, generally speaking, you have to make a decision of are you going to a pair wait for it, or are you just getting rid of it? And usually, more often than not, if I'm worried about the point situation, or if it's a tight game, I like to hold it, which I think I do here. Yeah.
I know I said exactly. You do, yes.
Because I don't like giving away a Mungan when the game is tight, where possible. And giving Dora Dragon would be Mungan. So even though it's suboptimal to be going for it, that's kind of my mindset at this point. Don't hold it until somebody else has taken the hit.
If you're playing defensive, sure. If your hand's really good, which
is good. It's good enough that I should probably be thinking about it a bit more. But again, I just don't want the situation of giving somebody a Mungan this early.
No, I understand.
Because then I've got to worry about things. Although missing it, I then know who to worry about.
True.
Oh dear. So all 4 of us now have a dragon. So
yes, Piffles played theirs. I think you should have followed with it. Honestly,
probably.
So like even with the logic of like I don't want to deal in. I don't want to get someone Dora 3. This draw here, once it's just gone and wasn't called, that's when you should push yours.
Absolutely. That is absolutely correct. So
when I was looking through your game, I wrote down Shadow, play the dragon. I wrote down Solar, play the dragon. I didn't actually look at Prospero's hand, but like
the other side of the coin is we're all being greedy and thinking, right, one's been played, if we can get there quickly enough, we can be waiting on this. Although goodness knows what my Yaku would be if I'm waiting on the green at that point.
The idea is good. It's just
not
slow.
Not going to happen, and it really is slow. So, moving on here, the next note is on turn 7, which is this one. So this is the call. This is the call for Tempai 2-5. No problems, and also has put the half Suji up as well. So that is pretty ideal. What else did I put on that thing? Yeah, so 7 remaining. Good thing here. What's going to happen with this hand, though, is quite worrying in its own regard.
I think things you're worried about, you shouldn't. But we'll see. We'll see.
So let's pause it here because let's just have a look at how the current game state is sort of devolving on most things. Solar has kind of gone for his 7 pairs plan at this stage. He's still... Oh, no, he isn't. No, he hasn't. Not ignore me. I saw you shouting for he was still 7 pairs. No. This is why I should have taken notes about all the players.
I feel like I should be taking notes about Prospero. I feel like I'm going into at least that part of this blind, but yeah.
Prospero's getting there. I mean, he's the dealer, so he's obviously got the most to win out of keeping the dragon, although with 2 gone, it's kind of useless. Oh, actually, 3 gone now. 3 gone now. It's absolutely useless.
Keeping it as a safe tile, which is not really a really bad idea. Just to slow your hand down.
I mean, to be fair, I'll get rid of it next day, and next improvement pretty much gets rid of it, almost certainly, with what tiles he can accept. There we go. So I make a call here for that.
So you're pushing over Tanya right now.
Yeah.
Right?
I've decided the game.
You've got Adora, and you're a Shanten.
Yeah. So I misquoted this. I put my things are off by 1 because what I thought happened on turn 9 actually happened on turn 10. So grab the 6-man. Do you think 6-man is safe against what I've just done? Piffles has decided no and has decided to cut the 4-man, which is a half Suji, but I'd argue about as dangerous.
Yeah, I'd say it's about as dangerous, honestly. Because 9's half Suji to the 9, 6 is half Suji to 9.
Yeah, so exactly the same weighting on both of these. There's no... Manzu are extremely expensive on this board at the moment. And if you're going to take a risky discard, you might as well take the risky discard that keeps you in 10 by.
I mean, Piffles is still 10 by.
He is still 10 by, but he's gone from a 7 to a 3 at this point.
Yeah, I think keeping 2-5 was right here. Yeah.
But that's not the end of this transformation, unfortunately.
So here, right, I think that 7 passes. Given the board state, I actually think that 7 passes.
Solar's.
Yours. And Solar's, actually, both.
Yeah.
I was joking about having similar things about both.
Yeah, we do have similar things on this.
So you see 3 of the 5s.
Yep. 1-7's already been played. There's an 8.
1-7's already been played.
There's a strong argument for it. I mean, I might be considering it just as safe to the dealer at this point, although I don't know if that was actually in my mindset or that's just incidentally what happened.
So you ended up playing, what was it, 1-man?
I played the North at that point.
Wait, what have I done? Turn 10.
Sorry.
Okay, right.
Oh, no, I didn't play. Yeah.
But so, side question: if you're folding, why did you play a live North?
Good question. I'm probably not folding. I'm definitely using that 7 as sort of a safer last tile, I think, against Prospero. Because given no information, I've got 2 calls to my left, and I've always got to be wary of the dealer at all times. I'm just assuming the 7.
Fully folding, I think I would have played the 7 there, but yeah, I don't know. I
mean, I've called. I should be attacking anyway, just on basis of this. That is unfortunate. Drew another 4. Unfortunate, but
I mean, it's safe. It's safe.
It's safe. So I luck into that, although admittedly not the best. And I don't know why I cut 4 there. I'm probably folded here, actually.
The 4 is safe, and yeah, I think you're just folding. Yeah. What have I got written down for Solar? I wrote down exactly the same thing. I think 7-pin looks okay. And first Solar did actually play the 7-pin.
Solar plays the 7-pin, so that confirms it for me. Prospero plays the 6, which is safe to the double call. So I think we're all folding to Piffles at this point. In some way.
It's a shame, because... Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it's South 1 that we can see. He hasn't played any other Pinzu tiles, so there is the hint of Honitsu there. So, I mean, South Honitsu Dora 1 is Mungan. So trying to dodge that, I suppose. That might be why I kept the 7 originally, actually.
And this...
If I'd read him as South Dora Honitsu, that would be a reason for why I kept the 7, although it's not a reason to then play the North.
Yeah.
Oh, well, as I say, this is questionable and this is all debate. Don't worry about it.
Absolutely, yeah.
So 8-man, definite safe to Piffles. 2-man, not definitely, but again, if you've got the read that he's on a half flush, then maybe. And here Piffles now changes to the more ideal 5-8, although admittingly most of his outs are out by his own call earlier. So
I mean, yeah, it does also play.
He's actually gone down from 3 winners to 2. with that core.
That's actually a really good point. And also, given how much your hand looks like a Honitsu, you do not want your weight to be in Pinzu.
Yeah, it was much better with the stealth, even if on a free. The free also is not. I wrote it down as free is not unsafe late game, but I'm not sure I necessarily agree with that based on the context of all the 4s gone and a lot of the 1s. So I disagree with my own notes.
I think I wrote down at this point, 3-man is hard folding, but I enjoy a good Chitoi from solo at that point.
1, 2, 3.
So it's Crazy Shanton for Chitoitsu.
It's a good fold direction if you're going to go for one. But again, he's most likely just going to play out.
Given how pin-through that hand was, I don't know. I feel like solo missed out on a little bit of value there. But at the same time, being 100% safe there's value in that. But
no, absolutely. Okay, so moving the game on here. So I'm just following safe tiles here, and I think this is just everybody playing safe at this point, with the exception of Piffles.
Yeah. And then there's a punish.
There is a punish.
Solo right there.
Oh, well.
Rest in peace, 3-man. It's gone.
Correctly identifies 6-pin as a dangerous tile here. He's only played 1 Pinzu. Looks like he's on Honitsu anyway.
Is that Tenpai? No, not quite.
Let's say, if I was dangerous in that position, I've got to be honest.
So is now
Tenpai. Solo hit it, but obviously option of 5 versus 6. Not. I mean,
the weight is a 1-tile weight for solo, but being Tenpai this late it's fine.
Yeah, Tenpai is always a thing if you can get it, and get it safely, of course. He knows 1 pin is safe from earlier, and there we go. 2-player Tenpai, and we have a draw. Okay, we move to East 3, where, again, Piffles has a free shunt in hand for, unfortunately, Dragon only, unless he wants to do a lot of culling. But it is a very quick...
The worst time. I'm just looking at Prosper's opening hands, and they're just sad.
He's not having a good of luck, in all honesty.
There's a chance of 789 Sanshiku's there, but other than that, I just don't see it. Your hand is amazing.
Yeah, my hand is genuinely amazing this time. I mean, I might not get the hint at half-flush hands, but this one
this
definitely...
This isn't half-flush, I don't think. What this is Tanyao.
It's a few things, but yeah, Dora South is the only question mark, although I am sitting South, which does add a lot of value to it.
I would get rid of that, and I would start calling. That's what I would do.
Yes, but the greed and the value.
5, Tanyao +1, and already like 2 Shanten?
Yeah.
And you can call from Piffles. That's what I would be doing.
Well, let's see how this one progresses. So, not gotten rid of, and I'm straight away discarding middle tiles. Slightly unfortunate, but at least it's not a bonus swing for him.
I've got a nitpicky thing for solo right now.
Oh, go for it.
The 689 is better than a lone 1.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's really just the ordering of it, but yeah, you'd still probably get rid of both.
If you draw the 7, like it becomes 6, 7, 8, 9, which is a stronger shape than
anything 1, 2, 1, 3 related.
And yeah, so in Solo's perspective, like play the one pin first, then play the 1 so. Keep 6, 8, 9 a little bit longer. Because if you draw the 7, 6, 7, 8, 9 is better.
If you're definitely keeping the white, dragon, it's the 3rd shape you get rid of. But again, he might be getting rid of the white dragon before that anyway. And you know, more time you have available.
But it is there.
No, sure. Okay.
Also, yeah, so sad about seeing that 5-pin pair.
I mean, that happens. It was the
7-pin.
And the 7-pin. No. To be fair, it was the only one in hand at the time, and I'm looking at Honitsu here with potentially that sequence, or at least Tanya with that sequence involved, depending on if I get the South early. Prospero, still a million miles away from it, but has definitely launched straight into the Honitsu, which is about as good as he could do with that hand.
Honestly, yeah, given how bad it started, it's the best you can hope for. I'm sorry, Prospero.
Yeah, Piffles unfortunately has had 0 help from the initial from his initial hand. It's still a good hand, but it's just not improved at all in the first few turns.
Those 4 draws though, look at how like I know I said like it's just Tanyao, but now it looks really nice. So maybe I'm wrong about trying to force Tanyao with your hand. I don't know, but
well, I keep drawing Manzu.
3-man draw.
If I keep drawing Manzu,
incredibly lucky right now.
Absolutely, I get luckier here. Or nope. I thought I was 2 coming.
Mm.
I remember this game vaguely.
I think at this point, Solar's probably thinking, "Oh goodness, my hand is terrible," and rightly so.
Yeah, it's just awkward, unfortunately. I mean, Prospero's the one mostly got the most right to complain about his hand, although he does have the ability to Khan now.
I mean, yeah, Prospero's hand is actually, it would need calls to really be able to match your pace,
but obviously the call Honitsu is definitely a thing he'd want to be doing, but East just isn't coming at this point.
Even Chanter, I suppose, to a lesser extent.
Potentially an option. That was, by the way, 5-so, 5-so, 5-so for Piffles before that draw, unfortunately.
So I would like you on stream right now, sorry, on recording right now, to thank Piffles.
Absolutely. Piffles, thank you. The 8-man is very good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've been playing 5-so the entirety of the time you keep drawing them, which is still a good thing to have in your hand, although admittedly I don't know what you get rid of in spite of that, I suppose. Get rid of the 4 because you hopefully want to be calling Dragon, have 2 as a pair. Yeah, you should have been playing 4 rather than 5 there.
I actually had Solar written down as folding at this point, but I don't think Solar is, actually. I take it back.
Well, we'll see. I've basically killed his 7-9, unfortunately, with that. Manzu, and Piffles gets the Dragon Call. So he's chasing Call for Call here. I read slight inefficiency in discard here because he's gone from 2-4-6 down from 4-4-5, which fittingly cut the 4 here gives you more options, especially since you've already discarded the 5-so twice.
So can you thank Piffles again?
Of course I'm going to thank Piffles again, because he's given me a second thing here. So this puts me Ishanten for Chinitsu. Or Honitsu Dora Dora, depending on how this goes.
Dora 1. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, no, this is exactly what I want. Especially to become dealer as well. But we'll see. Also, thank you, Piffles. I don't think this actually gives me anything, but thank you anyway. Thank you again. That is free Manzu tiles on the bounce to put me into a 2-5. Wait here, not ideal because I've already called a set of the 2s, but Tenpai for a hand of that's Hanneman already. Absolutely.
The way it is kind of air because of the overlap on the other shapes, but it's 2 tiles. But yeah, Piffles is absolutely giving you everything you ever wanted in life, and you should be holding a party in their name right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the one thing. You've kind of, once I've called 2 of a suit, you don't want to be very careful about making sure the 3rd of a suit is safe, especially when I've discarded none of them. The only thing I would say is the fact that I've not discarded a Manzu at this point, but have discarded late honor tiles, suggests that I am trying for the big Chinitsu hand.
That Dora drop sounds like a Tenpai to me.
Absolutely. Even before that, you could argue the Red Dragon could have been, because I've discarded all of those honors from calls, suggesting I'm keeping them for a half flush. But if I'm getting rid of those and you aren't seeing Manzu, you've got to worry about the bigger hand now. So Manzu should be completely off the table. But let's see how this goes.
Yeah, have you noticed how Solar's no longer in this hand?
Absolutely. Solar is absolutely correct to fold this. I mean, 7's the most risky tile. He's got 3 of them. It is a Suji Dora I've already played, and based on that, if I'm going for Tanyo, he'll be quite happy that I've only got a Tanyo.
Yes,
so
exactly.
if a 7 were to deal in, losing 1,000 points versus a player winning among an Hanneman hand, absolutely is fine.
I also really like how you didn't show that you've got the red 5. It's such a small thing, but I like that.
This is a weird one on me, because I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. Because if I'd have shown the red 5, they know it's a Hanneman. Rather than Mungan, but it still should be the same level of threat, if nothing else.
I mean, it's still incredibly threatening, but if it is just Honitsu, that's 2 hand.
Yeah, true. Anyway, that is Tenpai from Piffles. So the good way to kill a big hand is to have a small hand that has multiple winners. Unfortunately, this only has 4. But it's still worth getting into for as long as you can be safe with it. But you know.
Absolutely, like with that many calls. Also, I really like the switch, by the way. This was actually incredible.
Yeah,
because it's only 2 tile away. It's not. I think it's still only a 2 tile away, isn't it?
It's technically gone up to 3 winners because I don't know about Solar's hand, and we assume that that's the conditions. But also, it's more like if somebody's going to risk a Manzi tile against this hand, it's going to be the 1-man or a 9-man because I've looked at Tanyo all the way through this hand. Although, basically, my discards don't bear it out with 5, 5, 7, 4, 4.
The other thing is, of course, because you can see all well because you've shown three of the 2-man. At least to Solar right now, Solar knows where all the 2-man are.
Indeed. Which
means that the only way someone could win on the 1-man is if it was a tanky one.
Indeed. Am I silly enough to go on a tanky weight with that? Who knows?
I mean, I would.
Absolutely. Yes.
Solar is not falling for your trick, I don't think. But
he played the 7 previously. He's going to play those out for as long as they're safe, because that's also potentially helpful to some other players who might be able to speed out of this with a cheaper hand. I don't know if that's the intent, but sometimes you do play middle styles and hope people will call them to advanced hands against an obvious threat, which I've certainly done, and then accidentally dealt into that threat because they're on something else that I wasn't considering.
Yes, it is very easy to tunnel vision onto one player and just not worry about things.
So
it's absolutely right time to come. Absolutely, and that is just ridiculous.
It is just ridiculous. I apologize. It didn't give me any value getting Rin Shan, but I earned some style points for it.
Yes, but yeah, what an amazing win! Honestly, it was. You have to thank Piffles.
I do have to thank Piffles, and I will. Basically, don't give somebody tiles of the same suit when they've already called it twice. Beautiful indeed. Okay, so on to East 4. So, this is a slow hand, unfortunately. It is valuable if you can pull it off, but it is 5 Shanten, I think I've written down here, and I think that's really because 7 pairs is a thing at all times.
Yeah, although with a Dora pair, if you... Yeah, we'll see. I think I'm more likely... With Piffle's hand, I'm probably more likely to try and attempt Tanyao.
Yeah. And he's got to get rid of a lot of tiles anyway to make this work. Hope he can get some Yaku High pairs, West, then going through there. If that happens, you can potentially get this hand accelerated away. But any hand with 2 Dora, you've got to at least work out what is the fastest route to win with it. Unfortunately, this isn't a hand that's going to help you a lot. Oh dear.
Meanwhile, your hand is not very valuable, but very quick.
True, and I'll take that as dealer every time.
What have I written down for Solar? Oh, right, yeah. That's a Honitsu. That's absolutely Honitsu.
Yeah. Possible Itsu as well.
As you in East 1, in fact. 3 tiles away and some isolated honors.
Yeah, Prospero's hand is better than they have been, at least, but it's still not what I would consider great, unfortunately. He's had a real rough time of this East round. There's
a decent chance of the Hatsu coming, but other than that, it's not got much. Yeah. There's a lot of room for improvement.
Indeed. That's the nice, polite way we can say about this at the moment. So, no rest reset, and I immediately go into a Khan, and I couldn't possibly tell you why, except for lols.
Your hand is fast. Don't get me wrong. Your hand is actually really fast. You're actually already Shanten, but that was a bit early.
It was a bit early. I did draw a useful tile off of it, which I can't complain about, but still, that was definitely early. I was definitely on positive tilt from the last Rinshan.
I feel like the next upgrade I would have cut.
Sure.
But not right now. I feel like that would be what I do. But yeah. Meanwhile, Piffles actually has 3 pairs right now. Interesting.
Piffles does have 3 pairs. This is actually looking not too bad for him in all honesty. And 7's a useful draw, if not the greatest of draws he could have. So plenty of progression going on.
I've written down for Solar, if committing to Honitsu, commit in capital letters. And so, I don't think I mean, the opening draws have been pretty bad, but...
So Prospero finally has Ishanten in one of these games at this point. It's a bit awkward with both a closed and an edge weight, but again, you'll take any tempo you can get if you need the points.
It's also valueless, really sadly, but hey, yeah, tempai is tempai.
And anything that moves you closer to the dealership right now is probably useful. So, Pebbles has had a lot of good draws since getting rid of those initial honors. This is pretty ideal in a lot of ways. Isolated 7's the only thing that is a potential question mark, but everything else looks good from this. Unfortunately, it's not an easy Yaku, but Reach and Dora 2 is still fine. Oh, carry on. That's doesn't call that. I don't really have a lot of notes for this at this point. At least not for this particular hand.
Less thin, so I'm just sort of watching things.
Yeah, because Prospero just managed to complete it quite quickly. Drew the pair, immediately then draws the 3 and just gets a couple of quick hands for the quick win.
Some of those are things that didn't actually happen, which is very interesting.
Well, let's find out. We're into South 1. So the game now in a very tight battle for second with that as a result. I'm quite happy to just sit on my laurels and let the lesser fights happen. But
I mean, I wouldn't just fold that.
I'm absolutely not folding. But you know,
you can't quit
having the buffer is nice.
It is nice.
It means I have a mistake that I can make, which I think is sometimes important. So,
or if you've got a really good hand, it means you can actually play an unsafe tile because you've got a really good hand. So,
oh, indeed.
Yeah, there's nothing to lose, really.
So my notes here in terms of Piffle's starting hand here, I've got pretty much 4 Shanton for 7 pairs. Reach Dora, this is only other real options here. Because pair of an off-wind, hope to get a Yaku High out of the dragons now. But again, it could be quick, but it's not a lot of value behind it at this point, unless he goes into 7 pairs.
Yeah, I like how you've got a plan for these. Whenever I look at this, I don't actually have... Like, looking at Piffle's hand, I honestly don't have any plan.
Which, yeah, I mean, sometimes you need a couple of draws to at least find out where things are developing, but it's nice to have a rough idea of how far you are from things and what the potential upgrade paths are. I mentioned Sanjiku an awful lot in the initial hands, and it never happens, because it is an upgrade. But, you know, it's worth being aware that it could happen.
Like, it's one of those luck-based Yaku. It's more likely than Itsu, and I know that's a meme, but Absolutely. It is more likely to get a Sanjiku than Itsu. And, yeah,
If you've got a ability, you want to keep the option open for it. I think that's the thing. You don't want to accidentally discard something that negates it if it suddenly comes together. But
because 2 hand closed, or even just 1 hand open. Sometimes if you just have like 7 and a 9.
Prospero in this position would absolutely take a 1 hand open hand right now, which is probably what he's going to get from him because he's got a pair of dragons and not a lot else. But my hand looks quite decent actually from this. It's a little disjointed, but 2 Dora is always a nice thing to have. I can get rid of 9s, well, potentially.
Yeah, to me, this looks like gets Tenpai and reach quickly, as quick as you can. It
Sure.
doesn't matter what else you've got. You've got Dora 2. Keep at least one of them, reach, and you'll be fine, as long as you get to Tenpai.
It looks like Solo's got the fastest hand, at least from the start of this. Possibly Ipeiko Dora Pinfu, I guess. But we'll see how this develops. So wisely against that. And so here's where I've got a decision from Piffles, which I'm not sure on. So he goes for the isolated Dora drop on the second discard. Which I can understand the reasoning on this from a defensive point of view, but I would have been still inclined to keep it where he's still got loose tiles. He can still have played the East first, potentially. If he gets a pair of any dragon, that Dora is suddenly a live thing that can be useful for him. He could also potentially draw a 7 to go 5, 7, 9, potentially down the line.
Here's another thing. 2-5 is objectively worse than 5-9.
Sure, absolutely.
Because if you draw 7, you get 5, 7, 9, which is a 8-tile way to complete your sequence. Whereas if you draw a 3, you get like a 2-3, and a 5 that's just doing nothing. It's
Admittingly, he has a pair of 5s, so that's not as isolated as that instant. But still, I wouldn't.
But
I wouldn't be getting rid of a 9 this early. Unless you have a reason for it, and there isn't one at the moment. It's the initial live one. It is an isolated tile, but you've got other isolated tiles at this point in the game. Oh dear. Now, just something that Prospero has just done, which is interesting me more than anything else. He got rid of his initial 8-man, which was his only Manzi tile, and then keeps the middle 5. So obviously, the middle tile has more things that will connect to it, so it will technically be an efficiency gain from that point of view. But is it something that's worth keeping compared to the rest of his hand at the moment?
That's a good question. One cut south is... With this hand, it's not going to be too great. Also, I guess the 6-9 is kind of rough as well. Yeah,
well, he's got 2, 4, and 6 already, but...
But there are worse things in the hand than an 8, I'd say. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just then keeping the 5, which is a bit... no, I suppose it makes sense, but... And he gets rid of it now anyway, so...
It may be a Honitsu push.
It could be a Honitsu push, although it's a long way for it. He's 4 away from it anyway, so that's 5 improvements down the line.
Okay, so here's a question. Why did you play the 5-man?
Why did I play the 5-man? Because it is currently my only isolated tile, and I'm assuming that the 1/2 is going to be better than that. I do have I should really be cutting the 6 piece, possibly. Maybe the 1 so, because I've got a 3/4/5 already in sequence there. Yeah.
I honestly think this early in the hand, 5 on its own is better than 1/2.
Yeah, probably.
What else did I put here?
I don't have any Sanchiku attempts, and I'm going to eventually get rid of that 1/2 unless I happen to draw an incidental 3 at some point. So, yeah. I guess
Actually,
the argument for getting rid of 5 now is that if
So yes, right. This is where one of
the notes have come in.
I would have played the 1 so here, right? I would have to read my notes. Yeah, this hand is not it.
No, I'm not saying it is.
But 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, 9.
If I said it was Itsu at the time, it was only a possible one.
But it's not Itsu.
Okay.
I would take the 3, 4, 5. That'd be a nice sequence. I would take the 7, 9. That'd be a nice sequence. That 1 is doing absolutely nothing for you right now, unless you're being incredibly greedy.
Okay, I'm not being greedy. What I am doing at this point, or at least my justification here, is that I'm probably going to cut the 1/2 at some point anyway. And my cut of the 5 first is because it's the most dangerous tile later in the game. So I'm getting rid of the middle tile that might be dodgy later. I also see 1 from Prospero as well. So I'm effectively putting markers out for the middle Manzu to be safe. There's also... I mean, I don't know what Solar's on at this point, but this actually does negatively affect Solar, the fact that that's gone. But... Again, that's my justification. I'm fairly confident I'm getting rid of this 1/2 at some point. My development's most likely going to be in the middle Pinzu and the higher Sozu, and therefore getting rid of my 5 and my improper weight is going to happen. But if I'm going to get rid of all 3 tiles, I'll get rid of the dangerous one first.
Okay, I mean, I accept that, but at the same time...
Yeah, 1 so is a better thing to get rid of for efficiency reasons, because any middle tile I draw now in the Manzu is pretty much useless.
Yes.
And there's a lot of them I could draw. So...
Yes.
The only one that is...
Maybe we won't see any. Hopefully we won't see any. I can't remember how...
Maybe I won't. Let's find out exactly how many I'm going to see. Yeah, Seville's not doing anything that's really noteworthy at this point. Still getting rid of isolated tiles. That's a fair enough switch at this point. And if you're going to get rid of a 5, the earlier you do it, the better. I think the only thing that's concern at that point is just what Prospero is doing. But if the 5 is going to help his hand or even deal in, it's a dragon only for 1,000 points, and you can take that.
Notice right now that because of the 8 so cool, and because there's 1 in the store indicator, then the 9 so is walled off.
This
so
is
you're
true.
never going to make 7, 9 happen.
You say that, and you're probably correct. But I'm still getting rid of other things.
Not with an 8 at least.
Well, you never know, except that you do. Okay, so something's about to happen from Piffles' point of view now, I think. Where Piffles decides to switch this up to 7 pairs immediately.
Okay, that's fair. I just got another minor nitpick for what Solar did there. Normally going inside out is outside in is very aggressive. But at this moment, Solar's hand is really almost finished, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, triplet 3 is
inside out rather than outside in. On that 3/4 and that 2/3 shape.
No, I agree with that. The 3 is more likely to be useful to anybody. You know you've got Prospero with 2 calls, so you might as well force him to make a 3rd and then no, or something of that nature. Manzu are not the most expensive tiles on the board, especially low Manzu. Piffles has certainly played a few, but the thing is, if Prospero was sitting where I was, you'd have a better indication about whether the 3 is safe or not, I guess. Depending on whether
I guess it's just in Solar's perspective, you're probably going to reach this hand anyway, right? And you've got Tanya, you've got Pinfu. This hand's amazing. It's beautiful. I love it. And we need to get Tenpai in the like, I guess the safest way, but also like, yeah, it is the safest way. And there's no benefit to keeping that 3-pin. Unless you're folding, in which case, yeah.
So just looking at the 7 pairs attempt here, you do see the 9s and the 8s are gone, which is a little disappointing because otherwise these would be fairly okay tiles to be waiting on, especially given you've played the 5. I think it's a bit ambitious to force 7 pairs here.
If I was Piffles and I was trying to make 7 pairs here, I would be playing 8-9 pin. Like I'd probably play 9 pin first. It's been 2 gone. 8's not a bad thing to keep.
No, and again, he's got the 5, so that's his technical CG.
I think
it's just...
people are just trying to draw triplets. I think that's the motivation here.
Yeah,
or
he plays
the Manzu and then play a pair.
Yeah, I don't even argue that going 7 pairs here is a little ambitious, and you could get rid of a 6 and just go for it. You know, the Norths are going to be safe tiles if they comes to it.
I think
because
people's hoping to draw a 5 and a 7. I think that's my take as people's motivation right now. Although the 2 5s are gone, so yeah, I don't know. And all the 5s are being held, but Pills only knows the location 2 of them.
Yeah. Well, there's the third call from Prospero, and it's a call for nothing, but nobody's going to believe that at this point.
Yeah, that looks like Tempai to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I made a comment saying, especially I think this was what I was saying earlier about the 8 pin being walled off. It's useless to everybody unless you're on a tanky weight. I would have very much considered. I would have very much considered being greedy and keeping that 9 so. Because I think if you reached on a 9 so tanky, people might actually play it because it's the 8's walled off.
It is. Yeah, it's possible.
Actually impossible for anyone to have 7-8 as a shape, right?
Yeah, the 8's for the door indicator, so yeah, absolutely.
So I'd have been very greedy and I would have kept that 9 so a little. Is that bad? I think that's bad. It's probably
it might be bad. Who knows? Okay, so solo cuts for 2 so at this point, which is called by Piffles, and Piffles has abandoned Jitoitsu for whatever he's going for at this point. I actually don't know what his intention is with that call. Against 3 from Prospero, you have to be very sure about what you're doing, I think.
Is it just an Tenpai push?
It could be a Tenpai push. You normally don't care too much if you're not the dealer, because it's going to progress the hand on anyway.
Yeah.
You've got Norths that will definitely pass Prospero. You've got 6-man that should as well, but it's
9 pin passes as well.
9 pin 8.
So maybe it's a Tanyao swap. But if it's a Tanyao swap, why didn't we call the 6?
No idea, but I don't know. So I've been punished for not going for the single 9 weight.
Yeah, I when I wrote my note down, I did not know you were going to draw a second. I just went, the 8's walled off. I think that 9 is sneaky, so I would have taken it. By the way, so does Tempo right now, and has chosen to Dharma, and I'm wondering why.
So,
dealer, you've got what's this? Reach Tanyao Pinfu. I guess unless they're fishing for Sanshoku, maybe, but I don't.
Sanshoku seems greedy here when you've already got definitely 3, probably 4.
So Soda has 3 hand, right?
Yeah, reach
Why
Pinfu.
You reach and make that 4, possibly 5 or 6.
Not sure. Maybe he's just concerned about the triple call and is going to play around that, but he hasn't particularly because he played the 2 so, which was not safe until just now. So
I think that would be cowardice. I think this is a moment where you take a big risk. You're the dealer. You need to make a statement and be like, "Hey."
Yeah. If nothing else, the important thing about Mahjong is you need to respect the dealer when he reaches. You want to be rushing the dealer when he hasn't reached though. Usually, because again, the dealer earns more points from a win, so you have to be more concerned about dealing into them. But equally, they will lose more points if you randomly sumo. So they have to try and win quickly. And the easiest way to prevent people from winning is to put pressure on them and ask them the question, do you really want to play that dangerous tile? Admittingly, that situation's already kind of here because Prospero has made 3 calls and you should really be worried about that. That's another thing,
right? That's another thing. Prospero's overcalled this.
He did.
So there's a very real chance that Prospero will be stuck between a rock and a hard place. It's already looking like it now, right?
I guess the only thing is he absolutely, does he want that security? But even then, can you fold this hand from this position? You're in a tight battle for second. You are dealer. This is the last time you will be dealer. Yeah.
You have a good weight. You're reaching.
Yeah. There's one out that you can see, so that's still 7. 7 is fine.
Yeah.
Because what's happening now is you're being forced to play risky tiles and getting no benefit out of it. This should have been a lot more valuable.
It would have only been worth 1 more. I think I checked the era. It would have only been worth 4 hand, but still, that's as dealer. That's a big difference, right?
No, of course. That's near Mungan at that point. Actually, does he have a triplet? No, he doesn't have a triplet. So no, it's still good.
It's Pinfu, so yeah. Forehand. What is the forehand 30? I should know this. What is forehand 30?
430 is
7-7.
7.
So as dealer, you then scale that up.
Yeah, so that would be. Oh, I have it on my chart here. We should have the chart. Where's my chart?
I think non-dealer is 7-7. So times that by 1.5.
Okay, so moving on to South 1, first Homba. So Piffles has a I wrote down 3/4 Shanten here, so I don't know quite what I was meaning with that, because it's actually definitely 3 Shanten. So this is Yakuhai with a potential for 6, 7, 8 Sanshku. That is 4 Shanten run. That's why I wrote over it. So officially 3 Shanten, 4 Shanten if he wants to upgrade this to a another couple of Han at this point, which might be relevant now that we're looking at the point gap. He's got a Mungan to take the lead at this stage with 1 Homba.
Yeah, I guess with the scores being this close, you don't really worry about just taking one position if you can get all of them in one go.
I mean, it's an upgrade to consider. Otherwise, it's Yakuhai only, but it's that 8-5 swap is so valuable for this hand potentially.
I don't think I could accept Yakuhai only at this point. Even if it's just keeping the south as my pair and reaching, just to try and fish for Ura. I don't think I could accept calling the south. Unless I get like a red 5, in which case then maybe I'll change my mind.
Sure. That is the bit. Yeah, maybe. The Prospero has his best starting hand that I've noticed out of any of these thus far. Because that is gone to the races. If he draws that 8-man early, he's just off. So his hand's fairly decent, and mine is okay.
It's speedy. There's a bit of overlap on 4, 5, 7, 8, but it's speedy. I like it.
Yeah, okay. Let's play on. So Prospero immediately draws a pair of reds. So that's a very quick hand from Prospero then.
Okay, random question. I know this is really nitpicky, but
why did I play the North Wind
Why
first?
did you play your North?
Because I saw 2 of them.
You only saw 1.
No, I saw 2 of them.
Okay, well even then.
Even then, I'm not going to wait. A pair of my own wind does nothing. I might as well either keep it for safety, which I've got other safe tiles because the West has been played, or
Okay, my notes are terrible. Sorry, I take everything back.
No, it's a fair argument because it is my own wind, and I do tend to toss my wind without realizing I've done it on my first discard a lot. But
I guess when I was looking through this first time, I must have only saw 1 of them missing.
It is a thing I do. I'm not going to deny that at all, but. But yeah, you want to try and keep your Yakuhai, especially for your wind seat. Your seat, if it's not the wind seat, it's something you can. It's better than a dragon in most situations in that position.
That's fair.
But with 2 out, no, I'm not. A pair does nothing. Also, I'm going to use the auto rather than click through this.
Yeah, that probably helps. Yeah.
All right, so Piffle's Lone Dragon, but again, his hand is developed quite quickly, so there's no argument with just playing that early.
Prospero's got an interesting decision to make here, and chooses to take the dragon only over the Honitsu. I don't know if that's the best move.
How far behind? Hold on, let me just switch to his position. How far behind is he? I mean, he's Mungan Gap, so Honitsu Dragon 1 would actually give him the lead if he were to win with it.
But I feel like even though it's been played once, I feel like keeping the white isn't the worst choice here. I feel like that's all right.
There's some time left, I think, with that. He's not given any indicators of anything because it's just an early dragon call. He has time. He might not consider he has it, and he might just be trying to rush to become dealer. But
I don't think you missed that much by playing the 1-mans. I don't know. Maybe is that too spicy? That too spicy?
He doesn't have a pair other than. No. I guess he has the extended 4 to 5, 6, double 6.
Worst case, you wait on a 1-cut white dragon. That's fine.
Yeah. It depends how much you value the Honitsu in this position, I guess. And
it's the difference between 4-han. Well, yeah.
4-han, 3-han.
2-han.
Yeah. Well, let's move on. So,
yeah, right.
Initial dragon anyway. And I'm just looking at dragon only there. Nothing really to speak of there. And I now have 2 definitely saved tiles.
Yeah, I wrote some complaints about you keeping the West as long as you did and not playing the 3-pins. Right, yeah, at that moment there, you've got a pair of 3-pins, right?
Yep, there you go. In fact, I have a run and a... Sorry, get back one. There you go. There you go.
So the way I see your hand right now, you are not going to be making any... You're not going to be punishing all the 3-pin. You need to cut one. You need to cut one or the other, right?
Yep. I do need to cut one or the other.
In my head, I would have played the West because it would have been, to me at least, slightly less dangerous.
This is true, but I'm also thinking about late game defense. I have the lead, and I just dealt into solar as well, which is probably playing a little on my mind here. So keeping the 2 Wests, which are going to be safe in the late game, over the 3 pin, which might not be, if I am forced to fold from a situation change.
It's not a bad idea, but I don't know.
It's also early enough that I'm fairly confident that, especially since only solar can call it, I know that because I can see them, that he won't, either will force him into a direction, in which case I can work around that direction, or, he won't be able to use it.
I can see that. But at the same time, I don't know.
Yeah, it's fine. This is what you're here for. You're here for debates, and this is
the other thing, right?
Yeah,
is from a purely offensive point of view. If you draw a 4 pin, you want to be able to use it.
Sure.
Or if, for example, let's say you pair up any of the Sozu in your hand as well. If you draw a pair, having the extra 3 pins means you could then theoretically switch to a Rhiannon around the Pinzu as well.
These are both fair points, but I'm going to play the 3 pin anyway.
Yeah, or you could even pawn the 3 pin.
I could have pawned the 3 pin. I mean, I already have a dragon, and I know I'm going dragon only with this hand, so.
But yeah, it's all good. It's just it's really nitpicky stuff, and
you're allowed to nitpick. This is what we're here for. Also, it looks as if my hand is going backwards if I play 2 3 pin out of sequence.
It really, I mean, that's true as well. That is definitely true.
So, second call for Tenpai. Which, I don't know if I do this a lot, but it always seems better when I'm waiting on the tile I've called for Tenpai, because people assume if I've called that, I'm less likely to have those tiles.
That's something you don't get away with in...
I know. It's just something that occasionally crops up.
You can get away with here. I don't know what... Yeah. That's a good point.
But now I've got decisions to make, because I've now got a reach against me. Obviously, I play the half Suji 1, which, given everything, is the safest option I have that keeps me Tenpai.
Honestly, while I hate this Reachy, I will stand by it, and I would make the same choice every time.
Yeah, he's gone for the rapid reach here.
He's in last place. You take your Tenpai and you run.
Yeah, sure. You need to force the game back into your favor, and this is one of the easiest ways you can do that. He also has nothing if he doesn't do this, because he can't Dama. So
yeah, like while this Reach does have a really low win check, I do like it. I think it.
Well, and let's see if it does the job of forcing people to fold.
I mean,
no information with that.
It's a tile confusion server. Who folds?
Yeah, because I mean the East isn't necessarily a safe tile in this position. I'm just assuming that it's not a Yakuhai right now, and I really just want to try and steal this for 1,000 points. It's something that I should be thinking about more. That this is a 1,000 point hand. There is 2,000 point hand.
Honestly, I completely agree with your decision here. Like I would push the. Because it's a situation where your best defense is offense. You've made 2 calls. You're probably going to run out of safe tiles eventually anyway.
This is true. West. I have West. The West I kept in case the situation changes. However, with 2 calls, I'm probably not even thinking about that anymore.
Yeah, I feel like the only way to go is forward in your case. And thankfully, you are drawing safe tile. So that ends that. Yeah,
Prospero hit his Honitsu at that point, so... He's got to continue on that path, and has decided it's worth it.
Prospero had enough value to like...
Friso, yeah. I don't know. It's a risky tile against both. Well, not necessarily against me, although it does look as if I might be on a Honitsu. It's also connected to the Piffle's reach tile, which I always consider a little dodgy. The tiles around that.
Yes, there's a very good chance that 2, 3, 6, 2, 3, 5, 6, and so not safe.
But again, he's in a position, and he has become dealer.
Well, Piffles had Dora 1, and it was Honitsu, right? So we had forehand. That's enough to take. That's enough to take second place. That was worth the risk.
No, sure. Probably. We did eventually go for it. Again, though, he could have gone for that Honitsu earlier. Might have been able to outspeed me if he'd have committed to that sooner. But we shall see. So South 2. Piffle starts, free Shanten, potential double South Tanpin here, depending on how this goes. But obviously, I only put double South down because East South has a South. There's a chance he could draw one. So hold that as long as possible, but really this is just a straightforward Tanpin attack hand.
Yeah, Soda's hand, it looks like a Honitsu to me, but whether it actually is or not will depend on the draws. Like
Mono would Kokushi, or at least start a Kokushi with that. He wouldn't necessarily go all the way, because the trick with Mono going for Kokushi is he gives up a lot of them by turn 3.
I feel like the trick for Mono going for Kokushi is you say you go for Kokushi, but you don't actually go for Kokushi.
No, he almost all his Kokushi attempts stop on turn 3. But by then, he's accrued enough safe tiles to last the game that he wasn't going to win anyway.
It's like me and Chitoi. Like, it starts, and it doesn't ever finish.
I'll have it.
Like, I mean, yeah, sometimes it's, But most of the time when I just like, okay, I hate this hand, it's Chitoi. But when I hate this hand, this isn't Kokushi.
All right, so what is...
Yeah.
So let's just have a quick look at what Prospero's got. This is another reasonable start from him. Dora, potentially Dora 2, because he's obviously got the 1-4 sequence and a spare 6. So ideally drawing a 5 there for Dora. Or be waiting on it. It looks reasonable. There's a marginal chance that a Sanchiku 4-5 something, but I put that as marginal because he's actually got none of the Pinzu, so I should really not be causing that a thing.
I mean, just keep in mind, Sanchiku. I think it's a good idea. It's a good idea to always think, what if I get...
What is the magical dreamland draws?
Yes. Like, the odds of these things are always very low. But if you don't at least keep in mind the possibility of it, you're going to suffer, I think, down the road. So that's fair.
Okay, let's start this off and see how things develop. So, Actual Dragon. Good draw from Prospero.
So as I was saying, right, I'm wondering why Solar isn't committing back. Okay, now we've drawn 2, 3, 4. It's not Honitsu anymore. But I don't know why we didn't open with Pin and maybe the 8.
I mean, he had a lot of single ones, and generally speaking, at some point you're going to have to get rid of those with development anyway. But I mean you've still got one pin you could have played first.
A pair are very high, right? At least one pair, maybe even 2 or 3 pairs.
Yeah,
I mean, you can start calling once you get that going.
West isn't a bonus for him, so that's fine. I'd have probably played one pin before the white. I'd argue played one pin first out of all of it, but you still.
Yeah, I would play one pin first because of the chance of Honitsu. It's not anymore. It's not a Honitsu.
No, of course. Now it's looking
from the
more.
Opener, it could have been, and I think that was worth considering.
Anyway, just clearing up the terminals. That one's not going anywhere now.
Here's another thing you do that I didn't really like.
9 versus 9 triple 8. Yeah, I could have got the 3, I suppose. I've already got a pair in the east anyway, which is probably not doing anything for me. So I could have played 3-man there.
I suppose, yeah, because
keep the 9, play 3-man.
You have a situation where you've got like a lot of pairs and triplets. But I like 8889 because it could very easily be either it's a 7-9 weight, right?
Yeah, ultimately. Yeah, I think there are more efficient things. I mean, playing the 3-man here is the most efficient thing in terms of things. I mean, admittingly, at some point going down that route, it's probable I'm going to discard my pair of Easts, but they're not useful to me anyway. It's an alien win,
They're
so...
probably go anyway eventually, and I think with the next couple of draws, it would have gone. But it's one of the things that were really early on. What if you drew a 7 right now? What if the very next draw was a 7? Or another 9?
Yeah, true.
But yeah.
Solar does a 1-4 swap, which is fair. And now I've drawn the other side of it, so now that 7 is relevant for the other reason.
I mean, yeah, the 6888 is better than 8889, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, and I probably look from that to discard. I don't necessarily like that looking back, because that means I probably am getting rid of my East pair at some point, or I'm looking at multiple triplets, but I don't have a good enough hand to go for multiple triplets, really.
Yeah.
I've only got 2 pairs and triplets, so really you only get benefits at 3 and you need a pair, so that basically signals I've got to discard East at some point.
If you draw one more pair, this could be toy.
True,
Absolutely.
but that's not what I've got. Normally, if I was going to make that sort of cut now, I'd want another pair.
That's fair.
But anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
All right,
and
so
that reach happened, and that 6 is super suspect. But I've been, there's a good chance you could use it. So I think.
So Prospero with reach multiple Dora. This is a huge hand for him here. to be fair, there's an argument he could have done at this with the amount of value he's looking at, but given he's low on points, and this is a Hanneman hand with the reach, as dealer as well, I more than understand this.
Oh, yeah.
But Dama was certainly an option at this point if he wanted to.
So, what, Dora 4, reach Dora 4, is there anything else there?
Reach pin through Dora 4, is it? No. Oh, no, it isn't.
Yeah,
No, pair of fives. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, it's reach pin through Dora 2.
Dora 4. So, yeah, I mean, Hanneman is fine. Yeah, with reach and Sumo becomes Byman.
If he was second, if he had Solar's points, I'd have probably munganed it. Dama mungan. If he was much closer to the lead, the fact that he needs or at least 12,000 cap.
Enough, I think, isn't it? Didn't Mungan with 12,000. Yeah, didn't Mungan with 12,000 with the reach stick that actually puts Prospero in first.
Yeah.
I think with a hand that good, maybe that's one of the few times you should Dama. I don't. Yeah, I think maybe.
I mean, to be fair, it's fine, but he's on 2 middle tiles as well, so the reach to sniff those out is I mean, he's hoping to draw it. Any reach, you're hoping to draw it, but if he could, this is a position he could have Dama'd because that 6 in my hand could come out.
Yeah, it's not coming out now, but it may have before.
It would before without a reach. That 6 could have been played, but anyway. White Dragon I know is safe, so that's fine. One so also directly safe, so no real info there.
Yeah, you don't want to deal a reach near the end of the game. You want to hide at this point.
Absolutely, and Piffles has been very nice in playing a live East for me, which is dodgy, but I don't know what else he could have played given what his hand currently looks like.
I'd say if you really wanted to push this hand, you could have kept the East. You could have played the 9. The 9 so is probably safe, right?
Oh, I'm looking at Piffles' hand, sorry, actually, from this point. But,
yeah. Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry.
But yeah, just Piffles didn't really have a lot of good safety options there anyway, so playing the East is probably fine. 8 pins not guaranteed. 1-3-5 looks a little suspect, generally speaking. The one could have been played, I suppose, depending on whether pauses was on the one was detected or not. But yeah, now that that's been played, I've got my 2 East for safety anyway, so I'm going to run those out.
If you really wanted to push this, you could have played the 9, I think, because you know where the 3 of the 8s are.
Okay.
But you don't know. You have no way of knowing for sure. Well, obviously, I wouldn't have. When I looked through this, I didn't see that Prospero had Dora 4, so I was like, oh yeah, 9's all right. I'd push 9. So.
Okay. So Piffles makes a questionable call here for a number of reasons. So firstly, he called for 2 so rather than keeping 2 safe discards, which against the dealer reach, I would always want to have 2 safe discards unless I'm calling for Tempai, which this hasn't been.
I'm not thinking that was that bad. And the reasoning for that being that Piffles is in last place if Prospero wins this hand. No matter what value it is. We don't know. We don't know what value it is, but no matter what value it is, if Prospero wins it from anyone, Piffles is last place. So I think cooling just to speed your hand up a little bit, even if you have to go open Tanya for it, I think that's okay, actually.
Right, well, that's the first thing. The second thing is the tile he used to discard in this position. 1 pin. It is probably the safest tile, but if you're going to worry about playing the safest tile from this position, that's going to cause some problems because you've still got a 7 so you need to get rid of at some point, or use.
It's not the safest tile.
Or an 8 pin, which...
In this case,
yeah.
It's the most efficient tile if we're going for open Tanya to shut down the reach.
This is why I wouldn't have called it, though, because I'd have been thinking about reach.
Like, if I were Piffles, I don't know what I would do. It'd have to be actually in the moment, but I understand playing, I understand, like, calling and then just trying to go for a quick win. Because you want that reachy stick, for one. You have the chance of getting the 5. For all you know, the red 5 man is just lying there for you.
Yeah, there are options.
Yeah, I don't know. It's rough, but I don't know. I kind of accept that as a fair move. I think we'll see.
We'll see. Anyway, safe tile. Red is now safe. West is fine, and I'm still discarding East while they're safe.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right.
That's safe, which is neat.
So Piffles' hands upgrades again, and obviously now he is definitely committed to this Tanyo attack. Plays the unproven 8 pin, but gets away with it.
Problems happening in the future.
Oh yeah, there are massive problems. But again, yeah. So Solar and I are basically out of this.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. That's
All right.
in this situation.
This is the awkward bit here. Because given that you've drawn this, what is your discard?
It's not 6-0, and the reason for that is because you want the best weight possible.
Yeah.
If you're making a silly push, you want the best weight possible. So it'd probably be 7-so, I guess.
I kind of agree with
5-8.
I kind of agree with that. The Sozi tiles are really expensive on the board. There's only 1s and 9s played. Although, arguably, with all the 9s gone, the higher end might be safer. So,
Yeah,
I'd like to be on the 5-8 if possible with this, I think.
I guess that does rule out 8-9 as an option.
That's the only consideration I'd make. But all three of these tiles, without any information, are equally troublesome in many ways. But 6 is definitely the least efficient way of going with this hand. Unfortunately.
And that's unfortunately the way Pippers chose.
Yeah.
I realized the reason, right?
Because half Suji to the 9.
Yeah, but half CG is not really trustworthy. And
No.
for this exact reason. It's so unfortunate the fact that it was a Hane.
Yeah, so big dealer Hanneman, and Piffles now has 2,000 points to play the remaining hands.
Sorry, Piffles. I would not have played the 6 because I would have been maximizing my attack, but I probably would have ended up dealing it anyway. Maybe.
Yeah,
in these situations, they're all equally unsafe, really.
And to be fair, letting him just sumo the Hanneman wouldn't be a lot better, although it would have put you in a better battle for second than it result of this, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose the other one, you didn't know it was a Hanneman. There was no way of knowing.
No, there was no way of knowing.
It could have been Ricci only. There was.
You knew you were probably losing a position, but you didn't know you would lose the position quite that intensely.
Yes. At this point, you need a pretty good dealer turn.
Yeah, so at this point, your priority is win as quickly as possible because you need to be dealer. You cannot afford for any kind of weird sumo win from a dealer because that is likely to put you out at this point. So speed is absolute. This hand, unfortunately, is for Shanten and probably looking at Tanpin Dora rather than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, for Piffles, it's just, yeah.
Unless you could...
We might draw another one. We could draw the red 5.
Yep.
Like in a game with red 5s, having the acceptance on the red 5 man and also the red 5 so, there's a chance this becomes somewhat valuable, but it's just sad.
Yeah, you are really hoping to draw a pair of dragons early because you need all the speed you can get from this. Unfortunately, speed seems to be the order of matter for all the other hands that are on the board at the moment. They all look quite quick.
Yeah, the 6 man would be a really good draw too, because at least that then kind of unlocks the Tanyo option.
Yep, that gives you a backup.
It's just rough. It's not. You don't want to be in this position. You never want to be in this position when playing Mahjong.
No, there is a skill to playing on a very low point score, but sometimes the game just does not give you a break, unfortunately. So, yeah, let's move this along then. As I say, the other three hands are much faster along, but the consideration now from the rest of the players is the game could be over this hand. We need a hand that takes us above Prospero. Or in Prospero's case, I just need whatever win will knock out Piffles.
Should we just take a moment to say how good your hand is right now?
I said all three of the hands are pretty good, but this is, this is the thing. I have Tora 2, West. I could knock out Piffles and take the win here.
You can also just get Swanko right now.
Swanko would be fine, but that's not what I'm considering. I'm considering the fact that I have 2 Dora and a set of West, so I have 3 Han already. I can hit Piffles and win, so I don't need to worry about knocking him out. I could reach without consequence as well.
That's fine, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I take a second anyway, but you know, I if I'm thinking win bound here, I have no concerns in that regard. Solar has a bit more work to do. He wants to just win this in one shot from Piffles, but again, he would probably take second as well if he could just get enough points to overhaul me.
So I wrote down a point just saying, like, was that red from Solar? Was that the right time to get rid of that?
What, the first discard? Or...
When you had a 1 pit, was that the right time to get rid of that?
Oh
wait, no, wait.
Yeah, I think you're looking at Prospero here because Solar's red is fine from his hand. The rest of his stuff is all connected, with the exception of a 9-pin. So
that 9-pin's doing nothing for Solar right now. I don't know. I'll probably open 9-pin. Just on the off chance I drew a pair of the dragon, because in Solar's case, you've got Dora 2. Maybe you don't need a big win, but I don't know.
Dora 1, actually. He doesn't have Dora 2 yet.
Well, okay, 2 hands, sorry. If you got the triplet dragons.
Yeah. It could be that.
But also let everyone else play theirs, which, not ideal for you, but it's fine. Also, is this memes? Are you doing memes?
Who's memeing? Who's memeing? I mean, sometimes you can only play what you're dealt, and to be fair, I'm being dealt things. And getting rid of the isolated 4 now makes the most sense. Again, playing the risky tile early. And secondly, most of my development is going to be elsewhere now.
I guess
there's almost no scenario where that 4-so gets connected in before this draw. So,
okay, follow-up question: why didn't you keep 889?
Why didn't I keep 889? Goodness knows, because it's definitely the correct move. But
I mean, honestly, the chance of you drawing an upgrade around that 4-man is quite high, and I guess Toy Dora 1 West would be more than enough to win. I don't know.
Yeah, because I guess. Well, we'll see. Anyway.
Yes.
Prospero is developing quite nicely as well. Finally getting rid of that second south. Piffles is continuing on his plan towards Tarnpin, which is the fastest route he's got to victory at this point. And I get the ability to Khan the West, which...
You started memeing. Also,
I have started...
Soda's abandoned the 3-4-5-6 shape. I feel like this early in the hand, especially if we're trying to make Pinfu, you keep 3-4-5-6 over the 1-2 man.
Yeah, give more sequences in the middle. There's plenty of stuff. Anything you draw pretty much pins your tiles, improves your hand somewhat.
It does take you back 1 Shanten, but you are more likely to get a Ramen weight at the end of it. So I think it's worth. Doing that. We'll see if that backfires. I actually don't remember if I put any notes down.
Yeah. Anyway, this is my 3rd Khan of the game, and this is the most questionable one, in all honesty. But yeah, I've also now been punished for discarding Medora earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Which is, again, rightly so. Also punished for discarding the 5-so, interestingly. My last 3 draws have all been wrong.
If you're willing to cheat, then keeping Dora was probably worth it. But it's fine. Because Piffles is going to be playing anything they can. They're going to be pushing whatever they... So
yeah, and Piffles' hand's now been accelerated to Dora 3 with this. So Piffles now has a hand that you can actually get back into the game with. That wasn't my intent with this. My intent was to guarantee that if I sumo, I knock Piffles out and take the win.
I mean, you've added extra food to your hand, and the extra draw probably would have helped if it was useful.
Indeed.
So that there's stuff going on. There are good reasons for things.
There are.
It does hurt.
I'm having too much fun with it. That's what's happening. I've had peaceful Khans. This is my 3rd Khan of the game. That's quite rare.
That is very rare for you, yes.
Oh dear. So Piffles again. Now he's got Dora 2. He should be just massively focusing on any Yaku that gets in there. So I think, given that he had the 4 in hand, he should have cut the 7-8 at this point.
This is also the Soda's draw there for that 4 pin. Sorry, that is literally the conversion of the 1-2 to a Ryamen weight. We had 3-4-4-5-6. We had a 2-5 weight there instead of a 3-man weight. So there is the backfire for Sola's progression there, unfortunately. Just thought I'd point that out.
Also, more efficiency mistakes from me. Now I've got the 7-8-8 in hand that night earlier.
Yeah.
Oh dear. I do not deserve to win this hand, I'm just saying.
Meanwhile, Piffles is actually doing really, really well and just getting really unlucky.
Yep. And I put myself into a 3-sided weight.
An amazing weight, yeah.
It's a good weight, but I don't deserve to win this hand based on how inefficient it has been.
Hey, I said the same thing about Chilitsu earlier.
And rightly so, as dealer. If somebody is putting calls up, you ask the question of them. So absolutely agree with the reach, even if it's not on the best of weights.
I mean,
only.
It's hands though, so
yeah, it's also one of the tiles I definitely don't need, and it's a safe tile to me. Both considerations, I suppose. But again, you want to ask the question of me. If my hand is genuinely West only, I'm probably going to fold out if I get into a tricky situation, given the point difference.
Yeah.
Piffles has no choice but to attack, so he will.
No, absolutely.
South was safe anyway, but still.
You pushing 6, so there was a little bit suspect.
Absolutely suspect, but
that was
equally
an incredibly risky push. They haven't played a single Sozu tile, and Sozu's really expensive on the board. The only person who's played Sozu tiles really is you, and maybe Piffles, I guess.
Yep.
That's 6.
The only reason I played 6-0 in that position, given that hand, is the fact that 9 would equally be risky.
I suppose.
And if I'm gonna play a risky tile, regardless of what I do, I will play the risky tile that keeps me tempi.
7 pin was 100% safe, so if you were gonna play that game, do that. 6 pin is also pretty safe because you know where the 5 pins are.
Yeah, but that seems really weak given this. Also, counter argument here in this case, the one person I do not want winning a hand in this position is Prospero, because that negates any chance of upgrading. So
the tactics right now are: do you take a massive push to try and get first, or do you just accept your second place?
Yep.
Because that is absolutely a thing you could do. You could let Prospero just win off someone else, just enjoy second place, just have a good time.
So
I don't know if I played that 6 there. I would have thought about it, but I don't know if I would have.
Yeah, no, it's fair. Again, we've mentioned this before, but with 2 calls, you don't want to be folding because opportunity cost is a thing. If you've taken the opportunity cost of going all in, you might as well play the risky tiles and see if you can get the win, because you've got less safe tiles to play with anyway. You are more likely to deal in just because you've made those calls.
That is true. You only have one safe tile. You have one safe tile. That's it.
But anyway, Piffles has a different equation on his regard. He has a massive hand, 3 Han, and has just drawn a 1 pin here. So he's going to be looking at Reach, which would still be fine. Reach Store of 3 is fine. 7-man cut here, though.
7-man is actually safe. No, it's not.
Oh, no. That's
safe.
1, 2, 3.
Reach was turn 4.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Still.
But I'd be happy to push the 7. I'd even probably, with 2,000 points, I'd be happy to push the 4.
Yeah.
I'd hate it, but I would. Yeah, then you get rewarded for your risky 6. So
I get rewarded for my inefficient play and just risking things. But you cannot win a hand if you are not in tempi. It cannot be done.
It's true. I would have been very scared at that moment. I'm not sure if I would have. I might have played the 7. I might have then been like, shucks, and then I don't know. But yeah. I would probably played something safe, at least for the Yapatsu draw. I guess. Yeah, my reasoning for that is only because, as you say, you need to win to get first place. But a 5,000 point run would put you in 3rd.
True.
So if you were like top 2 and there was no gap between there was a big gap between 2nd and 3rd, then absolutely any day just push that 6. But because was that close to you, I think maybe I would have been a little bit more scared.
Maybe. But however on tilt I was this game, that is my 3rd Khan, and I was clearly riding something at that point.
At this point, all the flow, you're the only one who's Khan. No, you're not. Piffles also Khan.
Yeah, Piffles did also Khan, but it didn't work.
I can't say that Khan gives you the flow. That's not how that works.
Indeed not. He can send me messages. Don't like it. All right. So South 3. We finally have Piffles in the dealer seat, and this is an absolutely critical dealer seat for him. His hand, thankfully, is not bad from a dealer hand that needs to win. He's 3 Shanten. For Yakuhai, maybe double if he can luck into the red, but this is acceptable when you're dealer and need stuff. Also, Agan, please mute. Thank you.
Unless you have something incredibly valuable to say, in which case, then fine. Hello.
Yeah. So the point gap situation then. Let's just quickly flick between the players here. So Prospero doesn't need much. A 2 Han hand with a triplet will do it.
And Prospero has that 2 hand immediately. As long as
he does. So as long as he's got a triplet in his hand somewhere, he has enough food to just overtake regardless of where he gets the win from. Or a 2 Han sumo will do it. 2 Han sumo will do it regardless. Solar, in terms of upgrading a position, needs Mungan basically.
Yeah.
If he gets a Mungan sumo, he won't quite have the win, so he needs to Hanuman if he wants to go above that, but Mungan for 2nd place. Piffles just needs to keep winning.
Yeah, Piffles needs something. I don't know what yet, but something.
So Solar's best shot at getting to Mungan then from this. Given that restriction, it's awkward. He might... I suppose you could try and force Chanter, but that's never usually a good route to get to Mungan anyway, unless he can get multiple souths.
I'd say that no matter what you want to do here is... With a hand like this, I would probably be feeling really upset, and I know a lot of people who watch this are going to tell me off for this, right? but I would take the uncertain chance of reaching and praying for Ura.
Fair. Sometimes that's the only option you got, and sometimes that's the best option you got.
I know a lot of better players than me who would be like, no, you need to guarantee that you get the placement, but I just don't see how I could make that.
I mean, to be fair, if you also reach with Dragon, there's a chance that Prosper or I deal in, and therefore you only need half the points anyway, so a free hand would be enough on a direct hit to gain a position.
That's also true.
So,
actually, to be honest, as long as you don't run piffles.
Yeah, that's the only problem with reaching, but even then it's probably worth the risk.
Yeah, maybe it's worth going Atsuke and just taking the Tempai and then like calling everything, get to Tempai quickly, get like a 1,000 or 2,000 point hand just to make the gap in Southpaw that little bit easier. I like the sound of that.
Well, let's see.
I know I was playing about the Atsuke in, what was it, East 1?
Whichever hand it was.
But in this case, maybe calling and getting Tempai, trying to get some extra Yaku. Obviously, if the green comes, it'll be fine. But yeah, I kind of agree with what Soda's doing now, I guess.
So here's some sequencing.
There's a good chance that this hand doesn't really make it anywhere. But yeah, going Atsuke is not bad. It's not bad.
So, Pivotal Calls to Dragon. Absolutely, that's on high end with his thing. Needs to win as quickly as possible. Yakuhai only will do. But 9 so-called from immediately after from Solar. I'm less convinced of given things here. So, we already established the point gap. With a called 9, can you get there?
You could Khan the 9.
Alright, I suppose if we're going for Khans then, rather than Uradura.
You can Khan the 9, you can call the green. Green south is 2-hand. I feel like this is just a but I think it's just a don't run piffles situation. Just gets Tempai, don't run piffles.
Yeah, maybe. Well, let's see how this develops anyway. But yeah, I guess if he had double Yakuhai, that'd be fine. If he had both south and green as options, because then he's got Toy as a potential upgrade path.
I guess Toy's there. I don't know how I feel about it.
I mean, not anymore, but I'm assuming he had the second south if he did. But that's the single 9 call like isolation doesn't seem very good. So Pivos is unfortunately getting unlucky with the 6-9 in that position. I mean, isolated 6 versus a 1-3. He doesn't want to cut the door at 9, which is absolutely understandable, but it might have been better for him to do that first.
I think, maybe in this kind of situation, I know it sucked. But just going for a 1,000 point hand, just to try and get some repeats going, because it's the worst situation to be in.
It is, and sometimes speed is important. The more chances, if you get another hand, you have another chance of getting a Mungan, basically, and that's what you need. You need a hand that you can look at and say, I can get a Mungan from this. But that, however, has changed the equation quite considerably. It's lucky, but you're due a bit of luck.
Yeah, thank goodness Piffles finally gets something good. Maybe this is the moment. This is the cool moment.
This could
that ToC going away is a bit disheartening. There's still 3 out there.
A little, but you can cut that. Your other the 3-6 Manzu is potentially a better waiting pattern anyway. The problem he's got now is that Prospero started calling with a sequence as well, suggesting he's on for something quick, probably Tanyo only, or Tanyo Tora 2 in his case. That is a great draw, by the way.
So do you take your Tempai, or do you? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to take Tempai here.
You want Dora 3, yeah.
You want Dora 3, but also you just take any Tempai going when you're this low on points and our dealer.
I mean, yeah, that too.
So, I mean, we can see the things here. He doesn't have that information. Unfortunately, the two might come out of my hand in the course of things, but only if certain events align. I draw a 7 and need to do that as a double sequence, really. That 9 is never coming out of Solar, but...
No, it's just not. So Solar's got, what, 2-hand right now? 3-hand now. Okay.
Yeah, so that kind of locks it out. This is a great little upgrade path. I mean, to be fair, this feels like stars are aligning for Piffles at this point. His hand has just become Mungan.
So Solar is, as I say, Atsuke, but they have 3-hand. It's not enough to place, right? If they run Piffles. So
he can only win on the green. Yes. But Hatsu 2 is enough on a direct hit. But it's not enough Sumo.
Okay.
He's 8,000 direct exactly behind Prospero, so that's the point gap that matters. 10,200 behind me. So a sumo doesn't, I think, do enough if I've got the point.
Three-hand sumo is not... It's not going to be enough no matter what, I think.
Direct hit against Prospero would be fine, I think, because he should... he's got a triplet of 9.
If it's a Ron, that's fine, yeah.
But a sumo, I don't think, gives him the 8,000 switch.
Sumo, I don't think it's enough. And if you run piffles, it's not enough either.
Occasionally, this game involves maths.
Occasionally. Maths is hard.
It occasionally is. I mean, to this day, I still use roughly what the hand's worth, but I'm getting better at it, in fairness.
I have some things memorized. I should really be better at it, given how do stuff on the weekends. Yeah, Prospero absolutely doing the right thing. Just trying to get
call for Tempai. He's got two hand in hand, so two Dora in hand, so he will overtake me with a win at this point.
Absolutely.
So any Tempai will do. And he's 8,000 ahead, so he's reasonably confident provided he doesn't directly deal into Solar. So Solar's probably the only person he's thinking about playing defense against. And that is unfortunate, but you really had no other option there.
Solar should not have run that.
No, not he was looking at positions, but again...
3-hand 30...
In fairness, if because it's always possible that I was folding at this point, given my discards at the time. Obviously, I don't have a green, but there's always a chance that if I see a green and it passes, I will play a green.
Absolutely, yes.
So with that pass, I would play green if I drew it now.
I guess you potentially got the problem that it's going into temporary for a turn and then you playing the next one immediately.
True, but that's still a risk.
A one-cut green's actually it's a hell weight, but I would have taken that. I think it might just be that Sony doesn't calculate how many points it's worth.
Yeah, maybe.
It might also be just, hey, I want to get out of this game. Get out.
And this has been going on for nearly 2 hours, so I think we want to get out of this analysis with a few lessons from this, I guess. Tile efficiency is a thing. Discard order is a thing.
Yeah, calculate your score. Tile efficiency. Sometimes if you're going to call, if you go in, go in. I think that's something that I like to say to people. Like, I don't know, maybe this isn't good advice at higher levels, but never half-ass. Always full ass.
Always full ass.
Whether you're attacking or you're folding, go in. Either fully fold and commit, or fully attack and commit.
Yeah,
because sometimes you miss out on opportunities by being a little bit hesitating, I think.
This is absolutely true. The other thing I would probably say on this is also respect a dealer reach, but don't respect the dealer. This is the thing. When the dealer is not reached, attack him as much as you can possibly do it, because if you put the dealer under pressure, he has to go for quick hands that are cheap or play risky things. Once he's reached, absolutely play as iron safe to him as you possibly can. And while I didn't entirely do that this game, that's just good general advice, I think. Especially since the game was decided by that Hanneman deal-in, really.
Would Ricci have given us... No, it wouldn't have given us 4,100 points. No, it wouldn't. Would it? Solar was dealer. Would that extra hand have given Solar the second place there?
Well, Solar had called for 9s already, but...
No, I'm talking way back when.
Oh, way back when. Oh, I have no idea. That might have been relevant. I think he got. Hold on, back to log. What? Let's just have a look at the point difference here, because he won 5-8, so he would have gone to 8,000 or just below 8,000.
No, Solar was dealer.
Oh, he was dealer, wasn't he? Yeah.
So how much would that have been worth? Was South 1-1? Yeah. Okay, so Solar had...
Yes, he was on a 4-7 weight.
So Pinfu, Tanyao, Dora. With reach becomes 4-hand. There were no error, but that's not something we could have necessarily predicted. At least I don't think there were error. Could we check the wall?
Is that 8?
Not that it really matters. There were no error. Okay.
Yeah.
It's 0 over the 7 pin. But so 4-hand 30 for the Ron, as opposed to 3-hand 30 as dealer. Do we have that table up?
I wish I had that table up. Somebody will I'll post it in the comments afterwards, because I really should end the video now.
Oh, fair.
But yeah, thanks for joining, Chiral. I'm just going to warning you about the amount of space I've got on my computer, annoyingly.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to. Yeah, so this might end very suddenly. Thanks for joining us. We will definitely do this another time if we find an interesting game, and hopefully we'll pare it down and be a bit more organized. We'll see.
If you've got some good things, send some replays. They're really good.
Yeah, we like interesting games, especially tight games like this, actually, because this was ultimately decided by two hands, really. Two Hannemans, really, and that was a tight interactive game. And these are the games I like. They're really stressful to play, but I like them.
Yeah, they're always the ones you remember, right?
No, of course.
When you look back and go, oh, what really summarizes Mahjong? Those really tight games where I thought I was going to lose the entire time.
Except when I can't 3 times.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. All right. Until then, folks. Indeed.